Hey folks, it's Jane Hamill. And if you sell a physical product or you want to launch a line of clothing, accessories, whatevs, you're in the right place. So today I'm doing this episode. It's a new sort of like I'm going to sneak in some episodes that I'm calling Her Startup Story. I don't know why I'm using air quotes. I'm making this as a podcast and a video. So if you're on the podcast, just know that sometimes I've been waking up the YouTube channel. So check it out if you're in the mood. Jane Hamill's Fashion Brain Academy is where you'll see the action. All right. So her startup story. Today, I thought I would start with my startup story. Now, the idea of like, I was born a small child and I always dreamt that I made clothes for my Barbie dolls doesn't seem very interesting. So what I thought I would do for you today, before I dive into all of your startup stories, is just give you 5, honestly, failures that have happened to me in business, 5 missteps, 5 mistakes I'd probably switch if I could go back in time. Now, I know that people say fail forward and all of our mistakes lead us to the next thing, and that's awesome, and that is true, you know. So I believe it. But at the same time, if I could have avoided losing that $25,000, I probably would have. So I'm going to give you my startup story based on 5 things that happened to me that pretty much almost put me out of business each time, but didn't. All right. Number 1, the first year I started, one of the questions I'm going to ask all of the Her Startup Story interviewees is, how did you get your first sales? And then how did you get your second wave of sales? Because the first sales usually come from friends and family. Mine did the same. I had a big launch party. I opened up a retail store when I was 25 years old and started a clothing line, and I just sold my line in the store. Had a big launch party, friends, family, cousins, big Southside Irish Chicago family, got all the people, you know, super scary situation, but totally sold on the first day. Yay. Okay. Fast forward a year later, I had been so focused on my launch and so focused on opening up my boutique and getting my line together. And then within 6 months of opening, I was shipping to my first department store, my major department store, which was Marshall Fields in Chicago, which is now owned by Macy's. So it was kind of a whirlwind year. And I'd made so many mistakes opening up my boutique. Like, I didn't even know that you needed a back room. I didn't even have a place for overstock or back stock or inventory, or a place for the employees, which there were none, place for me maybe to have lunch, right? I didn't know what I was doing, but it was working. A year into it, so I opened in October, so it was next fall. I had been so shocked that I had to keep designing stuff for future seasons. All I thought about was, I'm opening up in the fall, and then when all the things started to sell, I had no backstock. I had no plan for reorders. I had no designs for the spring season. I was like, and I was just overwhelmed with also dealing with this big department store. So everything truthfully was going fine, but fall season comes around and I just whip something together as far as products, not realizing I could repeat a lot of styles that I did the first season that sold. I thought I had to come up with everything new. I rushed it. And honestly, that fall season, which was my second season, but it was barely 1 year in business, was a terrible season. Like, I just didn't spend any time on design, didn't spend enough time thinking about the customer, the fit, anything. And I'll never forget my second fall season, the clothes were just not cute. The product wasn't good. And I thought I wouldn't be able to sustain. Now, luckily, after the beginning of the fall season, I was like, okay, what the hell am I doing? I don't have the cute stuff. I need to go back and think and take time to create. So that was a tough season. And I still have just a little bit of PTSD about my second fall season, because it was just so like I couldn't sell stuff. It was tough. All right, number 2 of my epic fail or epic challenge in business was when not the first season or 2, but a couple seasons in, I was selling to Marshall Fields and things were going really well. As a matter of fact, I remember getting a call from the buyer saying, Jane, I just want to let you know that these wide leg pants are doing better than the Oscar de la Renta pants in this category. Like, it was really great. I was so excited. So along comes the season I'm going to ship for holiday, like a 10/1, 10/15. And I have these velour items that I'm shipping, and I have black and I have red. And it was sort of like the height of like the Juicy Couture. And I'm shipping these like fancy pantsuits. So at the last minute, the black inventory fabric still has not come in, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, I can get black velour someplace else. I can't get it anywhere. It was really hot that season. So I call up the buyer and I say, hey, I think I was in like 8 stores or 16 stores maybe at that time. And I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I know the timing's getting late. I really thought that I could pull this out, but I can't get the black. I can only get the red, but I can replace the red with a beautiful green. It's like a deep, foresty green. And she said, okay, fine. Like she was just busy. She said, yes. So I produced what were really cute items in green and red. You can imagine the Christmas tree look of that. It was not great. The green didn't sell at all. The red sold okay, but not great. It would have been like a 4, think of a 4 top, whatever, a 4 stand where you'd have black, red, black, red. It would look great. I think it would have sold a lot more red if I'd had the black, all the things. It was just an epic fail. And I was kind of like, well, she said I could ship it. That's her problem. And she's like, why did you ship me that? It was so ugly. And so it was just an epic fail. And I ended up having to give $25,000 in markdown money, which was a nightmare. Number 3 of my fun adventures in business that almost put me out of business, but didn't, was when half the merchandise in my store was burglarized. Yes. So I'm riding my bike to work. It's a gorgeous fall day. I mean, similar to today, actually, it's August right now as I'm taping this, but it was just a beautiful, crisp day. And I get there around 8:30 and I'm like, wow, it's cold in here. It was cold in my store. I had a retail space, a boutique in Lincoln Park in Chicago. And I'm like, it's freezing in here. What's going on? And I take my bike and I put it in the back and I lock it up. And then I'm like, oh my God, somebody left the window open here. So I shut the window and I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody took the bars off this window because we had safety bars, And I was like, wait a minute. Somebody's been in my store. And I hadn't even noticed, when you do the same thing every day. I walked in, I didn't notice. I look around, I'm like, holy crap, where's the merchandise? Where's all my stuff? And the thieves had taken half the merchandise, like burglarized literally half the stuff. And it was, a time in fashion where we were selling suits and sets, and like this pant goes with that. And they're a set, right? You're supposed to buy them together. And they had cherry picked, I swear to God, somebody had taken a little time and taken the best stuff. And they left like the khaki, bell bottoms that go with the khaki funky vest thing, like a 70s vibe. But all the vests are gone. So who's going to want the bottoms? So here I was, I call the police. They're doing, they do the, when they're going to do the fingerprint, they do the fingerprint stuff everywhere. It's a mess. It was just a nightmare. And then I couldn't just keep selling what I had left because first of all, it wasn't the best stuff, but second of all, it was half of an outfit. So it was a very tough time. I did have decent insurance and I had purchased business interruption insurance. And so I got a little bit of extra money there. So that kept me afloat, but it was just terrible to have people coming in the door. And I was like, I have those 4 cute things for you. Everything else was stolen. They never did find who took it. It was really, really hard. I really, really just sat down on the floor and cried in the middle of my shop and thought, I don't think I can recover from this. I don't have the cash. I can't make the things fast enough. So I did regroup. I did rebuild all the things and it ended up being okay. But financially, it was very tough. So fun times in business. All right, number 4. So this was interesting. So having a store for so long, I was doing all the things, right? I was designing most of the pieces in the store, like 60 or 70% of the merchandise. And then I started to realize, okay, I'm making pants, I'm making like cut and sew knits, I'm making zip up hoodies, I'm making all this stuff, but I'm all over the place, right? Everything they come in here, they can buy from me. That seems a little bit silly. Like, why can't they just get their cargo pants at, Banana Republic or Theory or something, right? So we were trying to have a baby and we had plans to adopt a baby. And I was like, okay, hopefully this baby's going to come. And it did, by the way. Hopefully I'm going to get a baby. And when I do, how am I going to keep up this pace of designing like all these different product categories? This is exhausting. So I really had to have a come to Jesus with myself. I looked at the numbers, I looked at the data, I looked at the margins, and I decided the things that I was really known for, the things people came in for to shop, and the things that made me the most money were dresses and going out outfits. So things for weddings, celebrations, birthday parties, a baby shower, whatever. So I decided, okay, I can't continue this pace with a baby and the travel and the designing and managing my own production. And I had reps in 5 different cities. I was selling wholesale all over the world, all over the country, really. I was like, something's got to give. Okay. And I wasn't super good. That's the number 5 at outsourcing or delegating very well. So it was all kind of like, oh, how can I keep this up? So I decided something really, really smart. I decided I am going to niche down and I'm going to only design and sell pieces that you would wear to an event. I have to go to this big, black tie event. I have a wedding, I have a whatever. That's all I'm going to sell. If you need a sweater, you need corduroy pants, you need, whatever else, you can buy that somewhere else. We no longer sell that. Super scary decision, but seemed obvious to me once I looked at the numbers, I looked at the margins. So I tell my team, my staff, and I go to work designing deeper into the styles that I knew were selling. So I didn't bring in tons more styles. I just went deeper and narrow into the pieces that were working and a few extra dresses, and I prepared for maternity leave. Fast forward, I'm on maternity leave. I'm getting notices from my team that's like, people are really frustrated. They're like, don't you have anything I could just wear tonight to go to dinner with my friend? And we have to tell them no, and then they're leaving and blah, blah, blah. So I got freaked out and I had a new baby and I was busy. And I didn't continue to rely on the data. I relied on the frustration of my team and some of the customers who were very loudly saying they didn't like this new plan. And so I switched back and I started doing all the things again pretty quickly after I got back from maternity leave. Later, when I looked at everything, my life was so much easier. Designing was so much easier. Sourcing fabrics was so much easier. I had a real niche. It was just focused. And sales did go down while I was focused like that, but profit had gone up. I was only looking at, I was looking at anecdotal evidence of the staff complaining to me, seeing like, I don't have enough to sell. I can't sell this much, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't looking at the real picture, which is how much money is left over at the end of the day. I had more money left over when I niched it down and just did the evening and going out stuff, but I didn't have the wherewithal to really study the data in a way that was smart at the time. And I whiplashed back to my original plan out of fear. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that because it was definitely the right move. I did it for the right reason. I did it to simplify my life, and I did it to have a tight niche and make everything easier, and the margins were better. So selling less, but making more money, who doesn't want that? It's fine, right? Okay, and the last thing that I would say were the things that I did in business that were not awesome, it wasn't an awesome day, is when I really realized that I was a super micromanager. And I had this great woman who worked for me. Her name is Rita. She was super fly. She was super fashionable. She was awesome. And one day I'm in the store and my manager, Allison, is there and Rita is here. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And can you do this and this and this? And then I turn around to go back to the back room where I worked, or to my office actually. And she goes, God, when I'm walking back there, I realized I forgot something. So I turned around and she and Allison are still there. And Rita says, God, Jane is such a micromanager. Somebody really needs to tell her that. And Allison says, you could tell her yourself. She's right behind you. And I was like, I got you. All right. I know. You're right. So can you get that done though? And it didn't change my behavior at all. And so here I was not liking having to do everything, feeling overwhelmed on the regular, and having somebody say, we don't really like it that you do this. And I didn't change my behavior at all. I wish that I had seen a path of how to run the business without treating it like this little baby, right? I started it on my own when I was 25 years old. I worked there by myself for a year. Like I did everything for it. I treated it like a baby. It's not a baby. It's a business that was very dear to my heart, but it's not a human being, right? I could have evolved myself as an entrepreneur and shown up in a way where I gave my staff and my team more ownership of their day. I could have like really truly delegated things and let them take care of it and let their expertise shine. But I really was on them all the time. And then not only did they not like that, but I was crabby all the time too, because I felt like, did you do it? Can I see it? Let me check it. Like I was a ridiculous boss. And so I wish I'd known that. I thought this business just has to go. I'm exhausted. And then the reason I sold the business is that my younger son, George, was born with a lot of health problems, emergency surgery when he was 4 weeks old, all this stuff. But he's totally great now. But at the time I was like, I can't do this and have this child with health issues. I don't know how to do this. So I sold the business. I'm glad I sold it. Everything was fine. The timing was great, all the things. And I also see now that I could have probably kept it and run it in a different way. Whether George had those health issues that needed me more hands-on or not, the way I was showing up as a leader didn't have to be that way. And so that was very interesting for me. And I really try to remember that now as I have a team, and do I micromanage them? Am I giving them, autonomy to do things? Am I playing to their strengths? Do I really help to develop the talent in my small organization? Or is it all about me just telling them what to do and micromanaging them? So those were the things that's my startup story. I owned that business for over 14 years. It was profitable 13 out of 14. I really, really did love it. And then it was time to do something different. And that's when I did retail consulting with Retail Mavens for inventory control and marketing and things. And then I started Fashion Brain and started the New Designer Program, which I am still running to this day. It has been reinvented as Launch a Line. So if you or someone wants to start a clothing line or accessories line, anything sewn from scratch, even if you have no experience, even if you have a tiny budget, I have a course for that. It's called Launch a Line. It is a step-by-step blueprint of all the things I wish I knew when I launched my clothing line. Legit. We have guest brains in there. We have you have 3 years access to the stuff. We have a chance for back and forth live Q&A with me. Like, it's really a great program. So check that out if you want to launch profitably and not end up with a basement full of fabrics and inventory that you can't sell. Okay. fashionbrainacademy.com/launch. So that's for like, I want to start. And if you're already selling, or you have your product and you want to get more traffic and more sales online, then you might want to join the club. You'll find the club at fashionbrainacademy.com/the-club. And the content club is really where we keep you honest and motivated and on task with your marketing, so you don't just get caught up in working in the business instead of working on the business. We particularly focus on content marketing and email marketing in order to have you get consistent sales from your shop. Okay, you don't have to be selling a lot. You can be building an audience from scratch if you want, or you could have been in business 10 years. All different types of people in there, but the commonality is they want more sales. They want their business to be run easier, and they have a product-based business. Okay, fashionbrainacademy.com/the-club. Hope to see you there. Have an awesome day. And if you have a startup story that you think is awesome, that people would be interested in, or of a business where you're like, Jane, I wish you would interview her, hit me up. Hit us up at brain@fashionbrainacademy.com. Let me know your startup story. Let me know if you have a startup story that you want to hear and you want me to reach out and try to get them as a guest. Talk soon. Thanks, guys.